Beautiful blue skies, warm temperatures here in California as the crews and drivers getting ready to go. Drivers from 19 states represented in this race today, 4 from California, including Jason Leffler. His first pole in 4 years.
Well, Chris, maybe at some point we should put Matt Kenseth on the board because he certainly will play a part in the point standings as a spoiler. Sure, he's a part-time driver, but in 3 races, he's already grabbed one of the victories, and there's no reason to believe that he won't win again today. As you said, he has 3 wins at this track alone. Sure, he's starting 20th, but guess what? He started 19th last year and still won this race. And now he has a new plan of attack. Do not look for the 17 car to take out and move to the front very quickly. He plans to methodically move through the pack and be in first when this one's over.
Eugenie, Owensboro, Kentucky natives, Michael Waltrip and David Green, 1-2 in the points, as we just saw. Now, it's been a disappointing season for Michael Waltrip on the Nextel Cup side. He's 30th in points after Talladega, but leading the Busch Series points here in Montana, this could be a pivotal race. He's only committed to run through Charlotte. If he still continues to run well, he may make a run for the championship. But again, this could be a make-or-break race for that chase.
Tony Stewart's the closest you'll find to a modern-day version of A.J. Foyt. He has raced just about everything, won in just about everything except sports cars and a car in the Busch Series. He dominated the race at Michigan last August. Rain kept him from winning there, pulling a number of crew chiefs in the garage area this morning. They point to the number 29 RCR entry driven by Tony as the car to beat. To Dick.
Well, Greg Biffle also thinks he has the car to beat, Matty. He's had a lot of trouble this year. Mechanical problems have caused him to have 3 DNFs so far this season, but he has had fast cars at virtually every race. I talked to his crew chief, Brad Parrott, this morning. Parrott said all those mechanical problems are behind him. I talked to Biffle moments ago. He said he will finish in the top 5.
Thanks, Dick. Today's weather is just beautifully Southern California warm.
There you see it, almost 90 degrees air temperature, and just look at the track temperature, especially down in 3 and 4. The west side of the racetrack's almost 140 degrees, and it will continue to go up, make these cars really slide around.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, they practiced yesterday when it wasn't near this hot. Man, as a driver, you're on pins and needles, hoping that that race car is going to stick when you take it down in the first turn at almost 200 miles an hour.
There's the exit of turn 2. The track tightens up a bit in this long back straightaway on this 2-mile superspeedway, where they're about to go for 150 laps today, 300 miles.
There you see pit road speed, 55 miles per hour. That can be a challenge once you've been out there racing at over 180 miles per hour. And that pit window, we will talk about that. Trust me, before this day's out, 48 to 52 laps. Few teams go a little further. Few teams can't go that far.
Field tightens up in the west banking, turns 3 and 4. And then they'll come around and face the flag stand for the first of 150 laps. About that time.
DW, like I tell you every week now, when we get off into turn 1, it's going to be almost 200 miles per hour. Please, twice, reach up there and pull them belts tight one more time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is a high speed, high nerve. It works on your nerves here. Coming to get the green. Coming. Boogity, 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 boys. Let's go racing.
Jason Leffler at 0-0. The Colts never gets a good start. Kevin Harvick, who started 3rd in the 21, he pulls up behind him. Looks like Truex in the 8 car started on the outside pole. Did not get that good of a start. Boy, Kevin Harvick in the 21, look at the run he gets off turn 2 down the backstretch. He'll win that drag race.
Oh, yeah, he's wasting no time to get out front here.
While these guys were running side by side, Martin Truex in that 8 car, he's able to pull up right to the rear bumper. And you pick up the throttle so early here, way before the center of the corner, you almost run out of racetrack before you get to the exit of the
Somebody did run out of racetrack.
One driver did, and it was the number 12, Tim Fedewa.
Yeah.
He got up into the safer barrier in turn 4.
Hit it pretty hard, too. Did a lot of damage to the right side.
There's Fedewa. That side's clean. The other side is a little used up.
He pancaked him.
Darryl, you talked about it in an opening. It's just not unusual to see three-wide racing at this racetrack. I mean, there's all types of different groups here.
Yeah, and it'll widen out as we go along. And, of course, the big thing is when they come down through the trioval here, you can come down through here, and you can get as many as 4 wide going into turn 1.
Robbie Gordon sneaking up there with the 29 of Tony Stewart.
Now, Robbie Gordon has just really impressed me, Larry, with this Busch program. He's got a pretty good hot rod there.
Yeah, I mean, a lot like Michael Waltrip when the season started. He didn't intend on running the full Busch schedule. Now he's sitting there 5th in points.
What's wrong, Mike?
I saw that move to the inside by Jason Keller. He was up next to the wall, and all of a sudden he was right down on the bottom under these fellas.
Yeah, I think the feeder wall is causing a little bit of a bottleneck right here. His car is obviously damaged. Having to work around him.
See Robbie Gordon to 55 to the inside of our pole sitter, Jason Leffler to 00. Jeremy Mayfield, we got a crash right here. Hermie Sadler in the 02. Caution is out.
And cars are going through the infield there. The 72 car, Randy McDonald, had to take evasive action through the grass.
So Hermie Sadler,
you got plenty of time right here.
Sadler runs out of racetrack at turn 4.
The track gets you just come off that corner, as we're talking about, you got so much speed, you're carrying the speed out of that corner wide open, and then you just run out of racetrack, and the wall just sticks out there just enough that you clip it.
Kevin Harvick leads him past the start-finish line to begin lap 15.
The good thing about these restarts early, there's no cars that are a lap down, so they're all single-file restarts.
Just right here at this line.
Yeah.
They double up quick going down into turn 1. And I was going to tell Maddie about that 1,500-pound spring. Go tell him to put it in the right rear, Maddie.
Well, Darryl, what I'm hearing here, and I want to follow up on what Jeff was talking about, whatever characteristics your car had last night in the cooler temperatures, if it was loose, this makes it looser, the hotter track temperatures. If it was pushing, a lot like Jason Leffler and Casey Kane's car, it just pushes worse in the hotter temperatures.
It just amazes me. Larry, how no matter what's wrong with the car, you change the right rear spring. If it's pushing, you change the right rear. If it's loose, change the right rear.
Riding with Michael Waltrip here as he battles Jeremy Mayfield in the 6th car. This is a battle for 7th. You heard him say Michael Waltrip awfully happy with his race car. Finished 2nd here last year.
Birthday boy. What do you do to celebrate, Darryl?
Well, we all went down to Rose's last night and had a little Italian food, and it was really good.
Bet you had a lot of Italian food.
We had a lot, yeah. About 25 of us.
Great.
Some from the 15, some from his team.
Kenny Wallace, 6th.
I tell you, Kenny had a great qualifying run yesterday. He qualified 5th, but look at that car. And I talked to his crew chief this morning, Chris Rice. We talked about it in the opening. They have that car down on the racetrack. I questioned Chris, is it going to be good for long runs? He said, we made a good run, long run, and the car stayed good.
It's got really a real aggressive shock package. You can watch that car kind of bobble around, hop around. That's just from being so much shocks.
And look who's the first driver to climb the hill in turns 1 and 2 and work the high side, that purple 99 of Michael Waltrip.
Imagine that.
Yeah. No surprise.
There he goes. He'll be rim riding. You can bet on that.
But that's the great thing about this racetrack that's happened over the last couple of 3 years is the asphalt has deteriorated a little bit. We have 2 or 3 grooves of racing.
Kevin Harvick leading Martin Truex by about half a second, Matt.
Martin Truex, the only repeat winner in 2004, rides in 2nd, telling his crew chief, Bono Mannion, the car free in the center when he's on the bottom. Meanwhile, back in 3rd, Tony Stewart in the 29 car. He told his co-crew chiefs, Cogswell and Leslie, we are going to be very good today, guys. I'm just staying behind Truex. We are fine. Steve?
Well, Matt, Jeremy Mayfield making a rare Busch Series start, his first of 2004, driving for Tommy Baldwin Racing before the caution came out. Jeremy said his car is a little on the free side, but getting better every lap. This team has just 6 full-time employees.
Now you see the 2 and the 3 grooves that exist here. This track is plenty wide enough to run. Slow car, Mark Green, who just took over the ride in the Yahoo Ford this week with a lot of smoke out the back.
Has all the look of an engine problem.
Yeah, he got fluid coming out the back, too, but he's down on the apron. I don't think that'll be a problem.
I think he got down on the apron actually about the time it started smoking, so hopefully he laid nothing down on the racetrack that would cause a problem.
You're riding with Jason Leffler in 5th place. Or he was in 5th place. Now Michael Waltrip, who has passed him.
Yeah, Michael got around Kenny Wallace and Jason Leffler in the last couple of laps by running that real high line, sailing it off in the corner.
Darrell, Larry, Mike, guys been watching, started back here in the back, and we kind of touched on this early on. Jeff Burton, way back from 28th, already up to 17th. Looks like his car's putting down some pretty impressive lap times also.
And Jeff, what we have to remember, he was one of the cars that came in and pitted on lap 6 and topped his car off with fuel.
Got a lead change. Sorry, Larry.
Martin Truex in the 8 car. Looks like he just lost one of his windshield tear-offs as he came off turn 4. Look at Tony Stewart, that 29 car. We heard him say his car's good. I don't think he's going to ride back there for long. He looks like he wants to lead this thing.
You know those first 4 cars, Larry, what do they all have in common?
Richard Childress motors. Well, Truex runs DEI motors.
That's
in the
right.
8 car.
That's right.
Yeah.
The 8 car does, but the rest of Childress's cars, Robbie Gordon right there in 4th, they're all hanging there pretty tough. Here, Michael has got a DEI in his car.
Truex to the lead, and Tony Stewart to second. It's hard to place Stewart in the 29 car. That's the Childress car. Employer support for guard and reserve on the side. And in this group,
see Jeff Burton in the 9 car back there. Jeff Hamill was just talking about him. Remember, he can probably go a little further than most of these guys on fuel. He did top off, as we see Mark Green in the 39, has made it back around, so we should stay green.
Jeannie?
Well, guys, it was very interesting. I was talking to Jeff Burton's crew chief this morning, Tony Liberati. He said about 5:30 a.m. West Coast time, his phone was ringing, and he thought, well, it must be somebody calling from the East Coast. And it was Jeff Burton. And Tony even did a double take on the phone to say, okay, no, wait, who is this? And it was Jeff just checking in, a few ideas on the car, and he wanted to see what Tony had planned to free the car up a little bit for this race. You know, he's taking this very, very seriously when he's getting up at 5:30 in the morning making phone calls.
I mean, Jeff Burton, he's one of those drivers, I don't think he ever quits thinking about his race car. Now look at Kyle Busch back here in the 5 car. Now this is a backup car. He crashed yesterday prior to qualifying, but because they put their car through inspection and qualified with the race motor, they were able to start where they qualified, but he looks like he's got a pretty good car as well. I know he was very happy after the final practice last night.
That high group working pretty well for Jeremy Mayfield, too. And the 6, second in line there, behind Stacy Compton in the Kingsford Ford. That number 6 carries the colors of Stater Brothers, the sponsor of the 300 today.
Got a battle for the lead shaping up, guys. Martin Truex Jr. in the 8 car. We're riding with him, looking back at Tony Stewart in that 29. You heard him talking about it in the pre-race here. Hard to believe Tony Stewart, even though his career in the Busch Series was not that long, never won a Busch Series race.
Now what's happened to Kevin Harvick? There in the 21 has fallen back a bit from that group, Dick.
Well, on lap 3, he came on the radio mic and said the car was a little loose. On lap 10, he said the car is pretty neutral, pretty good. On lap 20, he said it's too tight, especially exiting under throttle. Harvick's car has gone tight on him. Well, and what's happened, we're about halfway through this run. It's burned about a half a load of fuel off, gained a lot of nose weight. That will make the car push more and more as you gain that nose weight as the fuel burns off.
Yeah, plus that pretty aggressive shock pack. It's hard on those front tires, and you'll start cranking the wheel to it, and you'll heat the right front up, build air pressure up, then the thing won't turn at all.
I tell you what, good run for Billy Parker right there in that 66 car. Car owned by Rusty Wallace. Qualified back in 11th. He's up here battling for the 7th position with Kenny Wallace. Remember, he only has about 4 or 5 Busch starts, but I guarantee you when we do have pit stops, he comes to pit road, he'll be in good shape because Rusty Wallace's Nextel Cup crew will be pitting that car.
His older brother, Hank Parker Jr., won this race in 2001.
On fuel mileage.
Dick Berggren.
Kenny Wallace has a new car. He has a new engine combination under the hood and a new confidence. He came into this race very sure that he was going to have a terrific finish, but right now the chassis is a bit off. He's tied in, loose off, needs a pit stop to fix that stuff. Well, Dick, I think the confidence is coming from good runs here lately. Remember, they completely missed the Rockingham show, the second race of the year. Had a great run at Talladega, finished 6th. Good runs will give you and that race team confidence.
Greg Biffle, who got bumped by Ashton Lewis on a restart. That has not caused a problem for the Charger Ford. He's up at 6th place.
Yeah, I've been watching him. He's actually just passed Michael over there for 5th, and that car really, really looks fast.
quiet at the front of the pack through turns 3 and 4 and down into 1. When it all shakes out, Matt Kenseth comes out of turn 2 battling Billy Parker for the lead.
Oh, they're everywhere back there. I mean, they're like 3 and 4 wide. They go into the corner, running up in between each other. Glad they got fresh tires.
And of course, the reason David Strimming in 32, David Green in the 37, Mike Bliss in the 20, they're racing so hard, they're trying to be that first car that's a lap down. Should we get a caution, they'll get the pardon. They'll be back on the lead lap.
And Billy Parker did a good job of hanging in there, leading the lap under Green. Kenseth didn't just drive around him.
Saw Hamilton, Kenny Wallace trying to move through on the bottom. 3 abreast. Back about 8th spot.
And I imagine Rusty's telling me, so you do not want to get back there where they're racing as hard as they are.
You don't want to get back in the eye of the
Get that mess.
Who's in the eye of the storm? Look at him poking down to the bottom there. Martin Truex Jr. in the 8th at 10th place. Matt.
Mike, Martin Truex felt like the car was too loose, too long, so they went back on their air pressure adjustment and went down on the track bar. They had a 17.30 second stop. They had a malfunction with the jack on the left side of the race car. Now Larry Mack, he lost 4 spots on pit road. What approach do you take with your pit crew so they don't let this stop affect them on the most important one, the last?
Well, you've got a good race car, Matt, and you've got over half the race to go. You know you've got 1 or 2 more pit stops. You go to each one of those guys, especially that jack man, and you tell them, shake it off. We can still win this race. You got to pump them back up. You can't fix what happened. You just got to make sure the mistake don't happen again in the future.
2-car breakaway now after a tight pack on that restart. Matt Kenseth, Michael Waltrip. Single file for the next couple of spots behind them. Stan Boyd, the driver who crashed into pit wall, checked and released at the infield care center. Everybody on his crew is okay. For more on our leader, here's Jeannie.
Well, Larry Mack, I'm listening to you say you want to make sure that mistake does not happen again, but it's been like deja vu all over again in the 17 pit, because you may remember last year when he started this race, 19th, he shot his way to the front, and then they had a lug nut issue, so he had to go all the way to the back of the field. He had to battle all the way back, and he eventually won the race. Well, again, we find ourselves here in 2004, a lug nut issue. Kenseth in front of the pack here, and it's interesting, though, I talked to them earlier as they were all very well aware of the lug nut problem. They wanted to make sure they didn't get up front too early, but I guess they're just glad to be back where they are right now after what happened to them again. Steve?
Well, Jeannie, as Larry Mack said early in this race, Kyle Busch crashed in practice yesterday and tore him a race car. That's the 5th car that he's crashed this year. His team said he was very despondent about it. He's taking it very hard. Well, they had a little impromptu birthday party for him last night. He turns 19 tomorrow. They said that it really seemed to pick up his spirits on that last pit stop. They added some wedge in and went down on the track bar a round and a half. Said his car was on the loose side.
Laps were just past halfway. Matt Kenseth, 2-second lead on Kevin Harvick, Michael Waltrip, Tony Stewart, Michael Waltrip, that is, then Bobby Hamilton Jr., Kurt Busch, Kenny Wallace, Martin Truex, Billy Parker, and Robbie Gordon. The battle you're watching as there's Waltrip. High, wide, and handsome, they call that. He's been way up in that top groove, and now he's got some company up there.
I think the big problem as we look down the back straightaway right here, that Reese's car, the 21 car, Kevin Harvick, I think on that last pit stop, Rick Byers and that group, they made that car a ton better.
.60 laps to go. Basking in the sun. It'll be warmer tomorrow. What they've seen so far, well, they saw Michael Waltrip, who led 21 laps, the most so far of any one driver, take the lead from Martin Truex Jr. Matt Kenseth, trouble in the pits with a lug nut.
Yeah, stopped the jack a little too quick right there. Didn't get the lug nut back on the left front. Had to come back in, make that repair, but problems continue for the pits as Stan Boyd started to come in the pit road, looped his car around, backed it in the wall, and really get a full effect of what happened right there. He actually clipped some tires, sent the tires back into his pit crew himself. A lot of guys hurt.
Everybody was okay, Sammy. His crew chief for the day included. Kenseth got his position back, and then on the restart passes rookie Billy Parker for the lead, and that's where he is now, and we're getting ready to get things going again. So let's rejoin Larry, Darrell, and Mike.
90 laps. Matt Kenseth, Tony Stewart, Kyle Busch, Bobby Hamilton Jr., and Kevin Harvick. Business has picked up, Darrell, and so has the wind here.
It has, and you know, I'm noticing the wind, Larry. It looks to me like those flags are now sticking straight out, headed down toward turn 1. That really creates a lot of problems as you come off of turn 2 over there.
Yeah, it'll make it push the cars up the racetrack, make them feel like they won't turn. You talked about him, Darrell. Kyle Busch in that 5 car moving to the outside, trying to take second place away from Tony Stewart in the 29.
I believe he's got one of the best cars, if not the best car right now. He really was coming through traffic good just before that caution.
There was 60 laps to go on that restart. We had a couple of cars when we got one to go come to pit road, top off with fuel. Jeff Burton in the 9, J.J. Yaley in the 18. That'd still be a stretch to do it without stopping.
Do you think, Larry, that anybody could make it?
I don't think so. 60 laps. I'm based on talking to my people this morning.
I wouldn't say that if I were you.
Never say never.
Just barely scraped the paint off of it, still lined up inside.
That's Greg Biffle right behind him. Tim Fedowa, the 12 on the bottom. Truex has led today. And runs in 8th right now.
Clear.
Jason Keller just ahead of him.
See, Jason Keller in the 22 car, I need to clear up a mistake I made a while ago. I said Steve Addington. Steve Addington was a crew chief with Jason last year. He's now with Mike Bliss. It's Wes Ward that's now with Jason Keller. Remember, Jason Keller in the 22, he only has 2 right side tires as he gets a lot of heat from Martin Truex in 8 as well as Greg Biffle in the 60. Nice recovery by Greg Biffle in that 60. Remember, it wasn't that many laps ago. He was on pit road pouring oil in that thing. Now he's up here battling Truex Jr. for 8th position.
There's no question about him having a fast car. I'd be really worried, though, if I got around him knowing they're having oil pressure problems. I'd be wanting my spotter or my crew chief to tell me, keep an eye on that guy.
This is a battle right here for 7th now. Look at him, 3 wide at the end of the backstretch.
How did Truex get the left side of his car wrinkled up? I don't think we saw that.
I'd say on one of these restarts, probably.
Could well have been. See, they're just right in the door area, the left side of the number 8.
See David Green in the 37 car there, came into this race 2nd in the points. He's back in 27th position, 1 lap down.
Yeah, Larry, on that long green run, when everybody made green flag stops, they stayed out so long and their lap times fell off that by the time he got fresh tires, he had gone a lap down.
Yeah, they came here with a brand new Monte Carlo. Remember, they're making the swap over from Pontiacs to Chevrolets. Did not get the track test this car, wind tunnel only. And look at this blob right here. Whoa. You see Jeff Burton in the 9 car trying to work his way back up through the field. He's up there battling Mayfield and Ruderman in the 87-6 for 17th position.
Yeah, and he cut down in front of Fedowa there, and looked like they may have made a little contact.
Battle still rages for 7th.
See 2 distinct different grooves. Greg Biffle in that 60 hugging the line. Martin Truex in the 8 running about 1 groove off the bottom. Heating up here at the front as we see Matt Kenseth in the 17 leading the race, Tony Stewart in the 29. But Jeannie, looks like that 29 is reeling that 17 in.
Well, we shall see. We shall see. I'll tell you, it was just moments after you gentlemen started to talk about who could make it on fuel mileage from here that the powwow started in the 17 pit as to whether or not they could go the distance. I am told it'd be real close, but they don't want to push it. By the way, when they noticed the TV cameras on them, they all turned around and told me, oh, yeah, we can make it. Tell everybody we can make it. Matt?
Jeannie, no debate here in the 29 pit. They feel like their numbers are telling them they are 4 to possibly 5 laps short. They made an air pressure adjustment in the right front. Tony felt like the car was a little nervous in the center of the corner, and the exit much better from the adjustments they made on his previous stop. Came in 3rd, went out 2nd. 1 car to keep an eye on is the 59. They waited until 1 to go, came in and topped off. They're going to be close.
But now, Larry, if you had a caution and you know a caution flag is going to be 5 or 6 laps and you're close, might you gamble and stay out?
I think it depends on where you're at. I think it depends on where you're at in the race as far as lead lap cars. I think it depends on where you're at in the points. If you're up there in the points, it's hard to take that gamble because you need to look at the big picture. You don't want to run out of fuel at a 2-mile racetrack.
And track position would be the determining factor, because if you get down inside 10 or 12 laps to go, you don't want to give up track position. So I think that would be a huge part of it too.
Darrell, I've been watching the 60 car. We talked about a little earlier about some of the facts. He came to pit road, put oil in that race car, but he has been blasting his way back up through the pack. Just went around Michael Waltrip, Mike Truex, and he's gaining right now Kevin Harvick for 6th. I mean, for 5th, trying to get in the top 5 right now, but he has got definitely one of the fastest race cars on the racetrack.
Yeah, he did that earlier, Jeff. You know, he had trouble on that restart, fell way back, and then chased all the leaders down and got back up there amongst them, and he's doing it again.
You know, guys, the one saving grace on some of these cars that maybe did top off, that feel like they are close on fuel, remember, most of them came to pit road and pitted with 62 to go. Some topped off with 60 to go. We talked about this earlier, Darrell. The race pace is just slower than the practice pace when they got their fuel mileage number, and when you're running slower speeds, you're using less fuel.
If I get within 4 or 5, 6 laps, I can make it.
These fellas aren't looking at fuel mileage. Look at Jason Keller in that red and white 22. Casey Kane right behind him. Johnny Benson, the orange car in front, trying to battle up through, but all these cars are right at the same speed.
And I could definitely make it if it meant I was going to win the race.
Yeah, I mean, this is a battle for about 10th to about 15th right here, within about 3/10 of each other.
Dick Bergman?
Well, Kevin Harvick's crew chief, Ricky Vyers, has just punched the calculator. He has been at his computer for a fair while, and when he got all done, I asked him, can you make it? He said, I got 2 ways to calculate it. One way turns out I can make it. The other, I can't.
Well, you flip a coin.
Oh, good.
and
It's a real high tech.
There's so many things these crew chiefs will have to watch. They're going to have to watch the lap times based on how they're running now versus when they got their last fuel mileage check. Plus, also, if a car starts pushing and not turning, that will use more fuel because the car tends to be bound up.
Well, I think what I would do if I was close on fuel is I'd lay back behind somebody, a lot like what Tony's doing right here, and let him drag me along. That saves a lot of fuel.
And at a place like this, Darrell, you can roll out the throttle a little early, pick the throttle up a little late, and that will save fuel. But you have to start doing it now if you're close.
Or you can do what Kyle Busch is doing, because he's coming like yesterday's train.
Back in 3rd position in the 5 car.
He is closing down on Tony Stewart and Matt Kenseth. Here's Steve.
Well, Mike, I just checked with Lance McGrew, the crew chief for Kyle Busch, and asked if he could go the rest of the way on fuel, and he said absolutely not. He said we are 10 laps short of the distance.
Back to live action. There's the car that Dale Earnhardt Jr. is part owner of with Martin Truex Jr.
And you notice right there, he's been working on that high line, and now all of a sudden he takes it to the bottom underneath Kyle Busch to try to take over 4th place away from Kyle Busch. But again, his car's not working as good as it needs to on the bottom. I'm sure he's going to be back up, cool his tires, and try him again here in a second.
All right, back to the 29 laps to go. You and Darrell, the guys, have discussed the fuel mileage or a pit stop. Matt Kenseth, your leader, his teammate, his Roush Racing teammate, Greg Biffle, running 3rd, separated by Tony Stewart. What kind of strategy do you think that we'll see here if we don't have a caution?
I believe what we've already kind of touched on. I believe that Matt and Tony Stewart are going for the wins.
Clear high,
Greg Biffle's trying to run for championship as Martin Truex clears the 5-car Kyle Busch right there. Finally gets by him. Looks like he's getting back on track, or either Kyle's car is going away a little bit. But because of the type of strategy they're on, these guys are going to probably gamble and go to try to go the distance. I still don't think they can make it. But Chris, I believe we'll probably have a caution before the end, and fuel won't make any difference for us all said and done.
And you said before, Kenseth has worked his way back from the pack. As we'll see.
A couple times he's done it already. A couple times a day. As we take a look at Robbie Gordon in the 55 car coming down on pit road, and he was running up there in about the top 15, but he's on pit road right now.
All right, for the finish, let's go back up to Mike, Larry, and Darrell.
Well, they reported that car being very tight, so he's coming in. There's also a drama being played out in the pits of J.J. Yaley, the rookie in the number 18. The crew has requested that he come in, and they black flagged him several times. They said they had no radio communication with him. He continued on. Perhaps he's able to hear them. They can't hear him. And now finally, JJ comes in after being requested to be black flagged by his team.
Yeah, I don't know why they'd want him to come in. I don't know what difference it'd make right now. He had fuel, and we're going to the end.
You know, I think something may be going on again with that 60 car. Dick Bergman, what is it this time? Well, let's start out with Yaley. Yaley's problem, and the reason the crew wanted him to come in is because they thought he had a tire going down. But Biffle, Greg Biffle, currently running in third, has got huge problems. The cooling system that goes to his helmet that we showed you just a little while ago, and these are branded. I don't know what brand he's got in. It may not have been the one that we showed you a few minutes ago, but the one he's got is blowing hot air into his eyes. He's having a tough time seeing, a tough time driving his race car, which has gone very loose. I asked Jack Roush if he could make it to the end on fuel. Jack looked at me and just walked off the pit box without answering it. So I asked Pat Parrott, they don't know. So Biffle, boy, is he having a day for himself, Mike.
Well, I don't even know. I don't know if that's the type of system, Darrell, that you can just unhook and get that hose off the helmet so that air's not blowing in there.
Well, yeah, it's hooked to the side of the helmet, in some case on the top, and you can get your hand up there and pull it loose. I do believe a lot of guys tape it on so it won't fall off. But the thing that's blowing my mind is the crew calls a car in because they think it's got a flat tire. Now, I've heard, Hammond, you've never done anything like that.
And Hammond's done a lot of
and
things.
he's done a lot of things.
But hey, yeah, I mean, it's the first, guys. How about that? Somebody did something maybe dumber than what I do.
But Greg Biffle, going back to that, I mean, Darrell, he has the luxury of at least cutting the cool system off. He has a switch.
Yeah, there's a switch over there. I mean, there's a lot of things he can do. Of course, it's hot out there today, and he's not really wanting to do that, but it may become a necessity.
We're back with a great three-wide battle for fifth place coming off turn 4. Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, and Michael Waltrip, and they almost all wadded up.
Oh, yeah. Well, Michael went by them, those two cars going into one, pushed up high off of 2. They got back by him, went 3 wide into 3, and now they're back at it again.
They've been going at each other for about 10 or 15 laps.
Aaron's do the math, shows you the lap leaders so far today. Matt Kenseth's been out in front for 57 circuits. He's our leader over Tony Stewart, Greg Biffle, Martin Truex in that 3-car battle for 5th spot. They're your top leaders. We expect everyone will have to make one more pit stop. But Dick Berggren, what about Doug Hewitt calling J.J. Yaley in with a black flag to make a stop?
Well, let's ask him. Doug, how did you think your guy had a tire problem when you had no radio?
Well, we wasn't sure. We just had lost about 2.5 seconds, and the spotter could see him sideways in the corner a couple times. And rather than take a chance on it, we had NASCAR black flag him so we could put 4 tires down and tighten it up. There's no sense in a bad situation.
Safety first for a rookie, Mike.
Yeah, we agree. Thanks, Dick.
Yeah, I don't know that he had a flat tire or not. I think you've just scared him to bringing him into pits.
And of course, J.J. was still on the lead lap when he came to pit road, and he, like Jeff Burton, was one of the cars that came and topped off at lap 90.
I think we're starting to see pit stops here with 19 laps to go. Billy Parker, one of the lead lap cars.
Now remember, he stayed out and led the race.
Fuel strategy, Matt.
Mike, moments ago, Bobby Leslie and the other co-crew chief on the 29th team for Tony Stewart, Gary Cogswell, were crunching the numbers. They feel like the computer tells them they are about 1.5 gallons short. While they feel like they may have to come in and top off with about 8 laps to go, the 59 team is still confident they can go the distance without stopping. We already documented earlier about the loss that Robert Presley had with his father, Bob. The day before Bob passed away, the team lost a longtime employee, Bob Shano. His son is the ST Motorsports truck driver. Bob introduced Dave to racing, and the team all pulled together, loaded the truck, drove the truck out here. Dave flew out today. This team racing with double heavy hearts, the loss of both Bob Shano and Bob Presley. What a win it could be for this team today to help their spirits if they could pull it off.
There's Compton's car, which has been competitive all day, running right now in 17th place, just ahead of the 6th of Jeremy Mayfield.
And see, when you're in the back, you have options. You could come to pit road with one to go and top off. When you're in the front, you can't. So that could really pay off. It paid off for a lot of guys through the years.
And just to follow up on Tony Stewart, Matt's report, again, these cars get about 4.5 miles of the gallon, so about a gallon and a half shy as we see Jason Leffler, a 00 car, come to pit road. That equates to about 3 to 4 laps. They're shy of making it to the end.
And the laps are winding down. There's just 16 to go.
Oh, and the plot thickens.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love it when the plot thickens.
And if you think the plot thickens today, just wait till 500 miles of this tomorrow with the Nextel Cup cars.
The 3 cars that topped off on lap 91, Stacy Compton, Mike Wallace, and Jeff Burton of the lead lap contenders. Dick Berggren can update us on Greg Biffle, the second place car.
Biffle currently running in second, keyed his radio and said, let's come in now for 2 tires and gas. His crew chief, Brad Parrott, in an animated fashion, hollered in the radio, I think we can make it, I think we can make it, stay out there.
Now remember, he had to come back to pit road a couple of times to put oil in. So while they're in there, they're packing the fuel in that thing every time he came to pit road.
Matt?
Mike, here in the A-pit, the computer says that Martin Truex will run out of gas when he takes the white flag. Kevin Mannion, the crew chief, still crunching the numbers, trying to see what the leaders in front of him, the 17, the 60, the 29, are going to do. At this point, he's deciding whether to roll the dice or play it safe for the championship run that they are trying to make, Jeannie.
Well, I went down to the 9 pit to talk with crew chief Tony Liberati, who's had lengthy discussions with his driver Jeff Burton as to whether or not they would have enough fuel. And as Larry Mack was just talking about, they were one of the cars that came in and topped off. There is a feeling down there that they still might be a lap or 2 short. But I asked Tony, what are you going to do? And he looked at me and he said, we have to gamble. So, and that's exactly what they've told their driver. Burton checking in saying, do you need me to conserve? And they said, don't worry about it. Do what you got to do.
Kenny Wallace has been in, so has Jason Keller for fuel. Randy LaJoie coming in.
Well, Michael Waltrip indeed is taking the big picture in his view, Mike. He said that he does not want to run out of gas. He's told Jerry Baxter, bring him in when he has to. Baxter, his crew chief, just told me they're 4 laps short on the 99. And that's a long way. That's 8 miles. That's a long way if you're that short.
Boy, I tell you, the other thing you got to watch now, these cats are going to be coming to pit lane, and they're going to be trying to make as much time as they can, so they're going to have to be careful when they come off the racetrack and not get caught speeding down pit road.
How about our leader, Jeff?
One thing I've been noticing right now, Mike, Matt Kenseth for quite a few laps now had slowed his car down, and all of a sudden I seen that Greg Biffle has caught him. He's picked the pace back up. I was wondering maybe if he was trying to play some of that fuel strategy that Darrell keeps talking about. The driver plays a big important role in saving fuel, and he did back off it for about 6 or 7 laps and basically allowed Greg Biffle to get almost up to him, but now he's picked the pace back up.
Mike Wallace comes to pit road, and Matt, when will Tony Stewart stop?
Mike, Tony Stewart just asked on the radio, are we good to go or are we going to have to stop? Gary Cogswell waited and then said we're going to have to pit with 5 or 6 laps to go as Greg Biffle is possibly out of gas. We're just going to have to give you a splash of fuel. And then Tony just said quietly, copy.
10 laps to go next time by as Greg Biffle is going to coast around to his stop. It's become a nail-biter here at Fontana, California. On this 2-mile super speedway, who can go the distance on fuel and who can't? Kyle Busch could. He gets fuel, he's gone.
And there's a mistake in the pits, and that's what we got to watch on every one of these stops, because everybody's going to be in a real hurry-up mode right now.
Put around in the
See Greg
left.
Biffle come to pit road, chassis adjustment and fuel, Dick Berger. That's it, and that's all they are going to do to this car. There won't be any tires going on, and he did holler on the radio, I'm out, I'm out. Biffle did, and that's what has caused this pit stop. Out of fuel while running second with 10 to go.
And I'll tell you something, if I was a crew and he said he wanted to round the bite, I'd say get it after the race.
But what we have to remember, Matt Kenseth in the 17 we watched on the left, same motor combination as Greg Biffle, like Jeff Burton. Those motors came from the same company. If Greg Biffle is 10 laps shy, what do you think those other guys? Here's another one out of gas. The 25 car, Bobby Hamilton. But Jeannie, how about Matt Kenseth?
Well, you better believe Jack Roush made his way over here, and I know they're up there trying to rework the map, making sure they have everything right, but just adding more drama. Imagine you're in that car, you're Matt Kenseth, you may be a lap short, you're not sure, you're going for it. Well, guess what? The computer that he uses to relay lap interval information to the driver has died on them, so they've been running back and forth to the 37 pit, grabbing the lap interval and running it back, and then telling Matt what it is. And you could really hear the frustration in Matt's voice that the computer is not working, and they have to go back to the old way where you run the numbers across. Jeff?
Jeannie, I'm still seeing that same type of strategy right now with Matt Kenseth. He's slowed down about 4 more tenths, and we see Bobby Hamilton's car will not refire. It finally refires off of pit road. He got it, enough fuel in to finish the race, but Matt Kenseth has slowed down quite a bit, trying to keep just enough lead over Tony Stewart and make the distance.
8 laps to go as Darren Cope makes his pit stop. How many drivers have enough fuel to go the distance? Poor Matt Kenseth, even his computer ran out of gas.
But guys, to me, if he's only 1 or 2 laps shy, we keep talking about it, only a handful of races, he's here to win a race. I think it's a no-brainer. You go for it, especially if he's slowing the car down like Jeff Hammond is watching him do. We see Ashton Lewis in the 46. He comes to pit road for a splash.
Not only did he slow down, but Tony Stewart has really backed it down.
But again, Tony Stewart, this is the only Busch race he's running. Why not roll the dice?
6 laps to go next time by. Casey Kane, who will start on the pole in tomorrow's Auto Club 500 on Fox, comes down for his final fuel stop.
And I'm like you, Mike, other than the guys that's running out of fuel, here you see Tony Stewart's pit, the 29 pit. They're ready for him should they be. But the regulars, we see Johnny Benson in the 1 running all the races. They're playing it safe. They're coming to pit road.
Looks like Benson's going awfully slow. Like I think he's out of fuel.
Coasting.
He's on a pretty slow pace.
Jeremy Mayfield.
And here comes, is this
under power? And here's
Tony?
Yep, here's Stewart.
Yeah, Tony's in.
With 5 laps to go, as Matt Yoakum predicted. And Stewart's going to get a splash, but many of the leaders stay out, gambling on gas. Matt?
The RCR Nextel Cup number 30 team waiting for Tony Stewart to make his way to their pit box. They're going to give him a splash of fuel. He keeps pulling forward. They could not get the fuel in, losing extra time. Finally, he's away.
But Darrell, you talked about it earlier as we see Ron Hornaday in the 2 car, teammate to Tony Stewart, come to pit road. If you are going to make a pit stop, you can't have a mistake. No speeding. You got to get that fuel in there for 1 or 2 seconds and get that guy out of there.
Yeah, it's one thing when you're going to come down and get, you're going to get 4 tires and you're going to be there a few seconds. But this is so intense right here, coming in as quickly as you can, shoot the fuel in it and get back out.
Ron Hornaday in and gone. So is Mike Bliss. Michael Waltrip is in. Kevin Harvick is in. Instead of running for the roses, they're gunning for a gallon of gas, Dick.
Michael Waltrip comes in just 1 lap before they thought they absolutely had to come in before running out. A little bit of fuel and that's it.
That's point racing.
Harvick in and out. And Harvick has stalled his car. He stalled it. They're pushing it down. He's losing precious time.
Here comes the 17 on pit road.
That's a surprise. Matt Kenseth going to give up the lead to get a gallon of gas. Jeannie?
Boy, a lot of drama in this pit, screaming, get down there, give them a splash. They decided they weren't going to make it. Just a splash, top them up, and get out of here, go.
So here's what I see, guys. We have 2 cars out there, maybe 3 that has not pitted. Matt Kenseth, he stalled it right there, leaving his pit box. You see his crew running to him, trying to get it. He finally gets it fired. But with 4 laps to go, we have a guy that's running all the races for the championship, Martin Truex in the 8 on the left, and we have Jeff Burton in the 9, who's here to only win this race. They're the only 2 cars that I see that have not pitted for fuel.
Jason Leffler coasting around, running into trouble. I'm not sure if he came in for fuel.
He did come in the top. The 8 car is running out of fuel, so he's getting to pit road.
Doesn't sound like he's out of fuel.
Still running, 4,200.
Still running, he says, coming down to pit road speed, shaking it back and forth to get fuel to the pickup.
Barely. Still running barely. All right, get that in the 4250 right here. Get a good plug in. It just died.
The car is silent. Bob Tracy's nodding. He has the fuel can in. They're trying to refire the number 8 car. They're pushing the car down pit road. It will not fire. Martin Truex Jr. trying to win here. Fontana out of gas. The car is still rolling down pit road. You can see the dejection on the crew's faces. They are still pushing the car. Pit road is nearing end. They're going to have to push the car back.
Meanwhile, Jeff Burton gave up the lead to come in and get fuel before he ran out, and now he comes back out. So,
guess who's going to be leading this race? The man that was out of fuel, the man that was almost out of oil, Greg Biffle, with 2.5 laps to go.
That's hard to believe.
Look at him. There's cars running out of fuel everywhere around this racetrack.
Limping in the pits. They're going to make it.
2 laps to go for Greg Biffle in that 60 car.
See, having to come to pit road and put oil in the car those 2 or 3 times that they did is going to pay off.
And he has a 5.5 second lead over Tony Stewart, and we're past that red flag number. All he needs to do is make it around here another lap and a half.
Casey Atwood finally got to pit road to get fuel, and so did Tim Fedewa.
Here he comes.
So Greg Biffle well up on Tony Stewart, Stacy Compton, Matt Kenseth, and Casey Kane.
There's a white flag.
White flag for Greg Biffle, and that Junior, he's back in 13th position.
Nice and easy. Nice and easy. Just float it down in there, ease back in the throttle, and bring it home. I tell you, this guy could have won he could have won almost every race if he hadn't had engine problems this year.
Hey guys, I want to tell you a car that's running in third right now with a half lap to go. He's a car that has not made a pit stop. It's listed Greg Biffle. Stacy Compton in that 59 car. Remember, he topped off back on lap 91 sitting there in third.
They said they would stretch it, and they have. A lot of emotion in Greg Biffle's pit. Checkered flag in the air. Greg Biffle wins the Stater Brothers 300.
And I wasn't California dreaming, and this ain't no winter day.
Greg Biffle, obviously overheated, struggling to get out of the race car. We heard Dick Burbridge say this team has overcome a lot of adversity today. So Greg, tell us from your point of view, how did you guys win this race? You had so much adversity today, as you have all season.
I tell you what, I don't know another day like this. Engine oil pressure giving us trouble, and I tell you what, the guys did and never gave up, and I never gave up. We kept digging all day, and this charter car is just awesome, and have BASS on the car and everybody, and National Guard on the Nextel Cup car. I'm so excited. These guys did a great job in the pits, and man, we just worked really hard to get this car back where we needed it to be, and hopefully make a run at the championship.